The year was 1492, and the world, at least the world known to Europeans, was smaller, quieter, and full of unanswered questions. Maps were incomplete, oceans were feared, and beyond the horizon lay mysteries that stirred both terror and ambition. In the bustling ports of Spain, whispers of a daring voyage had begun to spread. A man named Christopher Columbus, driven by an unshakable belief, stood at the edge of history, ready to challenge everything people thought they knew about the Earth. He was not just a sailor, he was a dreamer obsessed with reaching Asia by sailing west, convinced that a shorter route across the vast Atlantic Ocean would open unimaginable wealth and power. Columbus had faced rejection after rejection. Kings and scholars dismissed him, calling his calculations flawed and his ideas dangerous. But persistence is often the companion of destiny. Finally, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Spain decided to take a risk. They agreed to fund his voyage, not just out of curiosity, but out of hope. Hope for gold, spices, and a strategic advantage over rival kingdoms. And so, preparations began. 3 ships were chosen, the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa María. They were not grand vessels, but they carried something far more powerful than size: human ambition. On August 3, 1492, Columbus and his crew of about 90 men set sail from Palos, Spain. The sea stretched endlessly before them, its waves hiding secrets older than memory. At first the journey felt ordinary. The wind was favorable and spirits were high. But as days turned into weeks, the ocean grew more intimidating. There was no land in sight, only the endless blue. The crew began to whisper among themselves. Fear crept into their hearts. What if the earth truly was too vast? What if they never returned? Some believed they would fall off the edge of the world. Others feared sea monsters lurking beneath the waves. Columbus, however, remained calm, or at least, he appeared to be. A leader must sometimes hide his doubts behind courage. To maintain control, he adjusted the ship's logs, telling the crew they had traveled fewer miles than they actually had. It was a clever trick to keep panic at bay. Still, tension grew. The men grew restless, their trust in Columbus weakening with each passing day. There were moments when mutiny seemed inevitable, moments when the dream of discovery nearly drowned in the ocean of fear. Then signs began to appear. Floating vegetation, carved wood, and birds flying overhead. Small hints that land was near. Hope flickered again. The crew's eyes searched the horizon with renewed desperation. Finally, on October 12, 1492, a cry broke the silence of the night. Land! It was a moment that would echo through history. Before them lay an island in the Bahamas, though Columbus believed he had reached the outskirts of Asia. He named the land San Salvador, claiming it for Spain. As Columbus stepped onto the shore, the air was different, warm, alive, and filled with possibility. The land was lush, untouched, and vibrant with colors unlike anything he had seen before. Indigenous people, later called the Taino, watched the newcomers with curiosity rather than fear. They greeted Columbus and his men peacefully, offering gifts and showing kindness. To them, these strangers were not invaders but visitors. But history, as we know, rarely remains so innocent. Columbus saw opportunity everywhere. He noticed gold ornaments worn by the natives and immediately began to dream of riches. He believed he had found a gateway to immense wealth. Yet, he misunderstood where he was. He thought he had reached the Indies, and so he called the people Indians. This mistake would shape centuries of misunderstanding and conflict. The voyage did not end there. Columbus continued exploring nearby islands, mapping territories, and searching for signs of the great Asian empires he believed were close. Instead, he found more islands, more people, and more resources. His flagship, the Santa María, eventually ran aground and was lost, but even that did not stop him. He established a small settlement and left some men behind before returning to Spain. When Columbus arrived back in Spain in 1493, he was welcomed as a hero. He brought with him stories of new lands, exotic plants, and unfamiliar people. His journey was celebrated as a triumph, a victory of courage over fear. The news spread rapidly across Europe, igniting a wave of exploration. Other explorers followed, eager to claim their share of the unknown world. The age of discovery had truly begun. But beneath the glory, there were shadows. The discovery of America was not just a story of bravery. It was also the beginning of profound change. Change that would deeply affect the indigenous populations. What started as curiosity soon turned into conquest. Lands were claimed, cultures were disrupted, and lives were altered forever. The arrival of Europeans brought new diseases, conflicts, and systems of control that the native populations were unprepared for. Columbus himself would make several more voyages, each one expanding European knowledge of the New World. Yet, he never fully understood the magnitude of what he had discovered. He died believing he had reached parts of Asia, unaware that he had opened the door to an entirely new continent. The discovery of America in 1492 stands as one of the most significant turning points in human history. It connected two worlds that had been separated for thousands of years. It reshaped trade, culture, politics, and the future of civilizations. It sparked exploration, but also colonization. It brought opportunity, but also suffering. Like many great moments in history, it was not purely heroic or tragic. It was a complex mixture of both. And so, when we look back at that moment, at those three ships crossing the unknown ocean, we see more than just a voyage. We see the power of belief, the danger of ambition, and the beginning of a story that would shape the modern world. Columbus did not just discover new lands, he changed the course of history forever.